Welcome back, folks. We had the Dow finish up 83, NASDAQ up 34, S&P's up 11. Our guest today, folks, is Bart Chilton. Bart is a commissioner of the U.S. Commodities Future Trading Commission. He was nominated by President Bush and confirmed by the U.S. Senate in 2007. In 2009, he was renominated by President Obama and confirmed by the Senate. Bart, welcome to TFNN.
Good to be with you, Tom.
Now, folks, Bart has also just come out with a book. It's called Ponzimonium, okay? And it's about the Ponzi schemes that not only have taken place, it seems like forever in the markets, but in fact what has continued to take place. You know, in that context, Bart, let me ask you something. You know, in the New York Times today, you know, MF Global, of course, we get well, first off, the MF Global situation, the Chicago Merc, the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, you are their regulator, not you personally, but the commission. Is that correct?
The commission regulates MF Global and another 125 firms like them, Tom. But then we sort of deputize the exchanges, like the Chicago Mercantile Exchange or the New York Mercantile Exchange. We deputize them to do certain things. So an exchange is called a self-regulatory organization, but ultimately we're the ones who are in charge of this. And you know, we're the government, we're an independent agency, and we're the ones who are supposed to be watching out for customers.
You know, now, it's intriguing to me that, you know, you have this book. We have $1.2 billion that's missing. And in particular, this part here is, I think, a large part that people would like to understand not only what happened, but when you talk about Ponzi schemes, you know, the definition of a Ponzi scheme is that you take money in one hand and basically giving it to someone else in the other hand. Now, inside the futures versus the equity markets, when we look at the MF Global situation, it's actually stated in here, not that this is true, but it's stated in here that it's possible that equity investors, security investors that had the money at MF Global may have gotten the future accounts money. Is that something that, you know, talk to me about that.
Yeah, well, what happens is each customers that are futures customers at MF Global. So at MF Global, there's a couple of different arms. They've got a futures commission merchant, an FCM,
yes.
And that's where people, if they want to trade futures, they go to that arm of MF Global.
Okay.
And then if they want to go and trade securities, they go to what is called the dealer-broker side of MF Global. And when MF Global went into bankruptcy, everybody was trying to scurry to get their money like anybody would. And there's some concern that some of the futures money was taken by securities customers. I'm not saying these aren't customers that had money there and wanted their money back.
Yes, no, I understand.
That's all sort of in trying to figure out where all the money went, Tom. That's part of the debacle we have. Another big part of the debacle is $700-ish million went over to MF Global in the UK, and that amount, once it leaves our shores, that money, then some over in the UK claim that it loses its identity as customer money, and so we're trying to claw that money back too. Anytime you get international regulators trying to work together, sometimes it's an oxymoron of working together.
Now, when that money went over there, in the context of covering another trade so they can release other monies, correct?
Yeah, exactly.
And that money, did that money go to another bank or a clearing firm? Do they know where that money went? Well, I'm sure they do, but are they going to say right now?
Well, some of it's been reported, and I can't talk too much about the investigation, as you can imagine, but some of it's been reported that it went to J.P. Morgan, $200 million, and you know, there's a report in the New York Times today that more of it went to other institutions. So we're tracking all that down, but the question is, can we get it back? Because just like our country, you know, there's English bankruptcy laws, and so we're working on that with folks trying to get the money back. That's supposed to be job number one for us, Tom, is get this money back.
Now, you know, inside, as you said, you're a government institution. Inside the Commodity Future Trading Commission, there's 5 commissioners. Is that correct?
Yeah, right.
Now, do you folks get along? Is it political inside there also, or
no? Not really. It used to not be at all. I mean, it's not like we're talking about, you know, the deficit or abortion or gun control. But it's got a little bit more political, just a tinge of it when, you know, this big financial reform law, Dodd-Frank, passed, because it was a pretty political issue on Capitol Hill.
Okay.
With, most of the Republicans opposing it. So it's a little bit more political, and, you know, I don't enjoy that. I like it when it's bipartisan stuff we're doing.
Yeah, well, it seems, you know, when I was reading your bio, I mean, you know, it's neat reading something these days that, you know, you got nominated by a Republican and a Democrat come in and and then you got, you know, nominated and reconfirmed by the Senate. That's real nice, particularly in the aspect that I like the aspect that you're taking care of someone's money, and you know, you want a clean deal. That's the bottom line.
Absolutely, and that's also, Tom, why you know, I wrote this book, Pandemonium: How Scam Artists Are Ripping Off America, because all too often people are, you know, giving their money to unsuspecting folks. I chronicle 10 stories, and I tried to make it not sound like it's a government bureaucratic publication, and I think I've succeeded in the reviews of the book so far. But, for example, we detail a story in Sarasota where this guy, you know, rips off millions of dollars from unsuspecting people and just uses it for his own personal extravagances. And once the money's gone, you know, there's no insurance fund or anything. I mean, that money is gone.
Yes.
And a lot of times this money is for people's, you know, their retirement, their health care, their kids' college expenses. So I just want to urge people to, you know, be cautious with their money. Don't jump into anything real fast. If somebody says you got to make a deal right now, grab onto your wallet. Be careful with your money.
You know, in that context, why should anyone trade futures? You know, when we talk about taking care of your money, you know, $1.2 billion disappear.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 2 things. First of all, it's you know, it really was a one-off. Nobody's lost money like the MF situation in the futures industry, even when Bear Stearns went down, when Lehman Brothers went down. So by and large, it's you know, been a blemish-free industry. And so the question is now, in the wake of MF Global, in addition to trying to track down the money, prosecute anybody, and then get the money back to customers, are there additional things we need to do to protect customers? And there are. And I suggested, for example, Tom, an insurance fund like exists at the FDIC,
yes,
or exists on the securities side, by the way.
But
we don't have that in the futures side. So there are some things we need to do, but we need to hit the right balance and not go overboard and require too much regulation so that we somehow slow down growth. So we got to be careful.
No, I'm with you there, but I think I mean, didn't Sentinel in 2007 go down and no one got their money back?
No, I think they got money back in Sentinel.
Okay.
Yeah, matter of fact, they got it back, and we were pretty quick on the trigger too, Tom. We were able to find the money quicker there than we are, you know, MF Global. I mean, we're talking about, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars. As you said, the trustee says $1.2 billion, and there are many circuitous money trails that we are trying to find. It's a lot more difficult than Sentinel.
Yes. Now I want to switch gears for a second, because folks, listen. This to me, this is really intriguing, and this was a speech that this speech is on the Commodity Futures Trading Commission website. This is where I got this off, and it's a speech by Bart, October 26, 2010. Now I'm going to actually read the 3rd paragraph in the speech, and this is what it says. I believe that there have been repeated attempts to influence prices in the silver markets. There have been fraudulent efforts to persuade and deviously control that price. Based on what I've been told by members of the public and reviewed in publicly available documents, I believe violations of the Commodity Exchange Act have taken place in silver markets, and that such a violation of the law in this regard should be prosecuted. Now, in that same context, Bart, I have a suit that's in front of me that was put in place in 2008, and inside the suit is really intriguing. You know, it has that at one point, this is an allegation, I believe, that J.P. Morgan Chase and another bank basically controlled huge amounts of silver contracts.
Right.
And what it also says is that there has been an investigation that's taken place, but I guess it hasn't gone anywhere, right?
Well, it's gone a lot of places, but it hasn't reached an end. It's gone a lot of places. The investigation's been going on for 3+ years now. And, you know, silver, like you know a lot about, you know, the precious metals, Tom. I mean, it's not just a U.S. commodity. I mean,
yes,
these things are traded all over the world, many denominations, and so it's also, like I say about MF, there are circuitous money trails. So we're still looking at it. The problem, and the reason I talked about silver in the speech that you quoted, was because there have been, at times, a very large concentration by one trader, and you mentioned somebody, but I'm not going to mention names.
Yes.
But by one trader of, you know, roughly 30% of the market. Now, there are some people who, you know, they're free marketeers, and it's their way or the highway. But you got to think, when somebody can control 30% of the market, they can push prices around, even if it's temporarily. And so we've now passed a rule that would diminish that percentage that any one trader can hold to roughly 10% of a market. And that's something that I've been fighting for since 2008. But with regard to the investigation, I hope it comes out soon. I hope it's finished soon. But like MF, sometimes these things take a long time. It seems incredible that something would take that long, but I'm convinced we're going to get it right. At least I'm very hopeful we're going to get it right, and I hope we'll hear something on that very soon, Tom.
Now, Bart, so this is pretty cool. So at this point, though, that no one can take more than a 10% position, and is that correct?
It's not effective yet, but we passed the rule. It won't go into effect for another several months here.
And does anything have to take place in order for that to get into effect?
We have to pass one more thing. It's complicated, which is why I didn't mention it, but the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission,
okay,
and the CFTC have to pass the definition of what a swap is.
Okay.
Because we also are going to put limits a year after this position limit goes into place. We're going to put limits on swaps, and those things, swaps, are things that currently aren't regulated, things that we don't even have a definition for yet. And so what happens is once we approve the swaps definition, which I think will be later this month, then in 60 days the position limit will go into effect on the COMEX, on the U.S. regulated exchanges, and then in another 12 months in the swaps world we'll have a position limit too. So it's that does sound a little bit bureaucratic, but the bottom line is
that's great.
Position limits will be in place.
I think it's that. Listen, I think a time frame is dynamite. I think that's absolutely dynamite. And all you folks out there, you know, you basically stay tuned. And you know, I would suggest that you stay on top of the Commodity Futures Trading Commission and the SEC in that aspect. Hey, Bart, let me ask you. I don't remember, but I remember when it happened with the Hunt brothers, okay? They had the long position in the silver. What type of long position? I mean, because it wasn't at the Commodity Futures Exchange that made them close it. I mean, how big a long position did they have?
You're right, Tom. That's a good memory. The difference here is what the contention is that these guys aren't, the ones now, they're not long, they're short.
Right.
And that they are trying to suppress the price. And the reason I said in the statement that you read that I've been convinced that there were essentially shenanigans going on is because I would get, and by the way, I still get it, I get emails, phone calls from people that say, watch the market, watch the silver market at 9:15 tomorrow morning, and it's going to go down or it's going to go up. And then it happens.
Right.
I mean, these are real, these guys know something that we at the agency couldn't figure out. And so that's why I say, when it's public knowledge, that people are telling me things. I watch the markets, and even though I may just be a guy in Washington that doesn't follow things as closely as I'd like to at times, when people tell me something's going to happen in advance and it happens, boy, does my antenna go up and in a hurry.
Yes, my contention would be, that's why I wanted to know how long, you know, the position was versus the short position, because it's like, okay, were they more than 30% long? Do you know? Was it even more than that, the Hunt brothers?
I think it was more, Tom, but I don't want to say for sure because I'm not 100%.
Now, okay, so we have a situation that, you know, markets themselves, I mean, we know that markets are vibrant, but I would suggest that right now, whether it's the metals market, people don't have faith in it. When we start to look at the MF Global, you know, people don't have faith in it. Can you just hold for for 3 minutes, Bart?
Yeah, sure, Tom.
Okay, you stay right there. Folks, our guest today is Bart Chilton. He's got a new book out, Ponzomanium, and you can come over to Amazon, order that baby right now. We're going to be right back with them, folks. This is Tom O'Brien. This is TFNN. You stay right there. We're coming right back. Welcome back, folks. Our guest today is Bart Chilton. Bart is the commissioner of the Commodity Future Trading Commission. Now, he just came out with a new book, folks. It's Ponzomanium, How Scam Artists Are Ripping Off America. You can go over to Amazon right now. Check it out. He has 10 different real-life Ponzi schemes that are in that book. You know, Bart, when we look at the context of, you know, the metals market, if there is manipulation, you know, whether it's silver going up or down, which plenty of people think there are, the MF Global situation where is, you know, when you talk about, when I look at the MF Global situation, to me it's almost worse than a Ponzi scheme because you have heavy-duty players, Corzine, you have the CME, and we're so far into it, and no one, number one, is going after anyone, and they may be, but, you know, public-wise they're not. And if this was someone other than a Corzine or someone other than the CME, it would seem that there'd be more pressure, you know. So my real question to you is, what can the public do in order to help you and your position to, you know, because I know it, you know, whether it's financial or political, there's a lot of pressure everywhere, to do your job better?
Well, well, first of all, I mean, again, the MF Global circumstance, it really, it's a horrible circumstance, but it is an anomaly. I mean, you know, we haven't lost money at a firm like this before.
Right.
But that doesn't lessen the impact on individuals who don't have their money. I get emailed all the time, and it's devastating. So you're absolutely right. It's a big deal. But I don't think, Tom, that, you know, because Mr. Corzine's involved, that people haven't been going after them. The question is, you know, people don't, and the public don't necessarily know. I was briefed on the matter today, and I can tell you we're expending a whole lot of resources, and we've got professional investigators on this, and you know, often things don't go as fast as you wish they would, and definitely if you've lost the money. But I feel very good about the work they're doing, about the legal action we're taking in the bankruptcy court, and I don't think we're sitting on our thumbs. Now, that may not be much comfort to people if they've lost money, but, you know, there's only so much we can do, and I know that sounds like a government guy, but I can guarantee people we are working hard. We've got one goal, and that is to get customers their money back. But I also want to see that anybody, no matter who it is, if they're responsible for this, we penalize them to the maximum extent of the law. You know, we don't have the ability at our agency to put somebody in jail.
Right.
But the FBI is involved in this, Tom, the Department of Justice. That's in the name of the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Manhattan and the U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Illinois because of the Chicago relation. So I have every confidence, based upon what I know, and I'm telling you as recently as a few hours ago today, that we are going after folks, that we're trying to find the money, and I certainly don't think we're going to be light on anybody, even though you haven't heard anything about it specifically, you know, in the press.
No, listen, and when I go over your resume, I know you're a political animal. I can see that. You know, in the context what you just talked about, though, I know bureaucracies and people have to defend themselves, but it's pretty amazing that Louis Freed, who is the head of the FBI, basically is protecting, which is country of laws, so that's cool, but he's protecting the MF Global side of it, right? So, I mean, what a battle that is, right?
There's two trustees, and these trustees are appointed when a company like MF goes into bankruptcy. there's a bankruptcy judge, and then the judge will appoint a trustee.
Yes.
In this case, there's two trustees. There's Louis Freeh that you just talked about, former FBI director, and he's the trustee for the MF Global creditors.
Okay.
So if you had something with, and then there's the other trustee, and his name is Giddens, and he's a trustee for MF Global customers.
Well, listen, thank you so much.
Both of these guys are trying to get money back along with us.
Thank you so much, Bart. We'll have to get you back.
Okay, good talk with you, Tom.
Thank you.